The ability to produce a light, flaky, and delicious pie crust is one of the hallmarks of a great cook. Crusts are tricky and prone to being either soggy or like cardboard. Here's a method for producing the perfect mouth-watering crust for empanadas, but you can fill them with anything you like. You can use live yeast if you have it. I'm going to use the freeze-dried because it isn't really important in this case. I prefer live yeast when I'm really looking for to bake something or to make bread or something, but in this case we'll just use the freeze-dried. Now this was warm milk, no sugar or anything in it, just warm milk. I added the yeast. I'm going to let this sit for about 15 minutes, not only to proof but also to cool back down to room temperature. We've got flour in there. I'm putting butter cut into coarse chunks. And remember, we don't want to turn this into a cornmeal consistency. We still want to have lumps in there. Okay, this is enough. There's still pea-sized pieces in there. Now I've measured out. This is the yeast in the milk. It's cooled down. And we just want to do this until it comes together. Scrape down the sides a little bit, feel it. It's getting very, very close. I'll just give it one more pulse. Okay, now this is quite powdery, but that's what you want. It barely holds it together. That's a good thing. I'm going to scrape it out here. And we're going to knead it just a little bit, but really just a little bit. I know this is very powdery, and it doesn't seem like a dough, but it's going to be okay in the end. This is what's going to make it incredibly light. The flour hasn't hydrated yet, hasn't absorbed the moisture, so we have to give it some time, but we're not going to wrap it in cling film like we usually would with the dough, because it has yeast in it, and it's going to expand a little bit as that yeast feeds. So I'm just going to knead it enough. I'm showing you the whole process here. There's no video editing taking place here. This is as much kneading as it's going to get, because we don't want to break up that butter. You can still see spots of butter in the dough. That's a good thing. I've got a bowl here. I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to put a damp towel over the top of it and let it rest. And after the resting time is up, we have a ball of dough. I'm going to divide it in half so it's a little bit easier to work with. And you'll see that it's more malleable now. Of course, sprinkle some flour out and roll it reasonably thin. I think you need to see me doing this. I think everybody knows how to roll dough out, right? And you end up with a piece like this. Now, these are available online. They make it a little bit easier. They usually come in sets of 3, a small one, a big one, and a little one. I'm using the medium one here. There's a cutter on the back side that's exactly the right size that you need to fit on here. Good design. So I'm going to cut these out and separate them. Now, if you do this right, you get 5 of these, and it's kind of hard to see here exactly how thick these are. Don't roll them paper thin. If you roll them paper thin, they'll fall apart in the fryer, and they won't puff up and have that lovely texture that you want. So you want them thin, but you don't want them insanely thin. And the rest of this dough, because it has butter, like pearls of butter in it, if you knead this and make more because you're trying to save, it won't be as good. You can do it. You can make some more of these if you're really, pinching pennies and you want to save every dime you can. Okay, it won't be very good though. I recommend just accepting this as a loss. Move on. So you should get about 10 of these. I got 5 out of the first half of the dough. There'll be the other half of the dough will do. So you put the dough on the form there. You don't want to put too much filling. This is the classic mistake that everybody makes when they're new at this thing. They want to stuff it because they think it should have tons of filling. It won't seal right. It won't be good if you do that. Just go like this. And there's your empanada, or in this case, really more like a samosa, because the filling I'm using in this case is a vegetarian potato and pea curry. But I'm going to make a couple of videos later showing you some absolutely great fillings for these. Right now we're just doing the dough. Now I'll just show you frying one of them just at a time here. And it'll float to the top. Keep an eye on it. You want it to be golden brown. And here we have it straight out of the deep fryer. And leave it on some paper towel and let it cool down really well, because it's extremely hot inside. You'll just burn your mouth right now. Plus the texture will improve as it sits over the next few minutes. So just let it cool. And then after it has finally cooled down, you have to you have to taste this. You have to experience it to believe how light and flaky and delicious this is with any filling. But I'm going to show you a couple of absolutely knockout fillings for these in the next video. If you like my videos, look for my book. It's available on Amazon and through other internet booksellers. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.